Aloha mai kako. You are watching Hawaii Political Reporter.
With me now is Donald Ikeda, running for State Senate District 1. Donald, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Donald, can you please tell us a little bit about your background as it relates to your qualifications for office and your ability to represent your constituents?
I'm a local born person, born and raised in Hilo. I went away to Honolulu. I attended Mid-Pacific Institute for high school, and I came back to Hilo and attended University of Hawaii at Hilo for 2 years. At that time, Hilo was a 2-year college. I attended California State College in Los Angeles, majored in accounting. After graduating, I was a state auditor for the state of California. A few years after that, I came back to Hawaii to run a business. I ran the Ikeda Factory Limited from 1969 to 1990. In 1992, I worked for the County of Hawaii in the state auditor's office. I later became the county clerk. I retired in 2004 and ran for county council. I was fortunate enough to win the seat for county council, which I have held for approximately 7.5 years, almost 8 years.
So Donald, you were county clerk for 8 or 10 years?
I was county clerk for 5 years.
Okay. So, but 5 years of experience as a county clerk and 8 years of experience on the county council, you must have tremendous insight and knowledge to how the county works and what's happening with it, and I guess also the relationship back up to the state and the problems and issues that we need to deal with them. Is that true? And what can you tell us about that?
That is correct. When I was the clerk, as well as working with the county council, we had to go and lobby for a lot of things at the state. And one of the big things that I remember when we first got in was that we were always concerned about the TAT, which is our second largest income source. But as time went on,
TAT mean transient accommodation?
Transient accommodation tax.
Okay.
And when I was in the council, we had a lot of problems that we needed to solve, especially during the budget. When I first got in, we had some lean years, and later on it got better, and then in the end, during the last 4 years has been very linear. So we had to look at the budget very well and try to analyze and to see how we can cut costs.
So you've told me you were an auditor prior.
That's correct.
So I gather when you get into the budget, and God knows we have a budget problem in Hawaii now, that you'd be a very valuable person and you could actually see through and what's happening. And I'd imagine if it ever came to auditing, you could do that very well since that's what you've done.
Right. I believe I understand the budget very well. When I'm elected, I want to look at the budget again. I want to see our strength and our weaknesses. I believe that we can really improve our financial situation by trying to find an additional revenue source and not really raising the taxes or cutting services.
Okay. So a little bit more specific on that, by raising revenue sources, how would you do that, Donald? I mean, for example, like park fees, or what are we talking about?
No, I wanted a little more innovative things. There's quite a few. I like to create different kind of jobs. I believe, like, I lived in the state of California when Silicon Valley was just getting started. And what happened was, during that time, we had the state allow the companies to have tax-free. They're exempt from paying tax for approximately 10 years, and also the property tax for 10 years. In reality, the state or the county didn't lose anything because they weren't collecting anything anyway, but we made it up.
Well, aren't they getting the benefit of the people being employed and getting or some of that must be coming back at least or being spent in the city and through the merchants there, which creates other taxes through, through that way.
That is correct, because then The employees that they got were high-paying jobs, so they were paying high taxes.
Probably building houses
That's
near
right.
there, okay, buying gas near there, buying groceries
That's right.
near there, paying taxes on their houses near there. So even if the industry itself wasn't directly paying, I mean, that's really positive to hear, because being a business person myself and living in Hawaii, I've seen many times where I feel like the officials have never had any business experience, and from Honolulu on down, they're doing everything they can to just impede us, or really more likely to control us, okay, without being aware of the difficulties they're putting us through. But if a person like you who understands the accounting and has actually seen this business process and observed it, and you know, obviously that worked, it worked for a lot, that's really a positive for us, because you could bring that experience to bear for us.
That's correct. I really believe that in that kind of industry, it's a really high-paying industries, and I believe everyone will benefit. It will offer our citizens way better paying jobs than the ones that they're getting today. And it will offer more opportunities to our young people so they can stay at home.
You know, digressing for a second, I know that you've been to Korea and done a lot of things really working for our agricultural industry and to try to help our agricultural people, and which is a very popular thing, and sustainability. We're working with natural farming. Now that's not exactly high tech, but it's another example, okay, of trying to help to grow business. And even if that's not very high paying, if they save money, okay, and if they stay in business, that's a big benefit there, because our farmers have had a tough time. So tell us a little bit about your experience in the natural farming and what you've done to help us and our county and the people, our farmers, with that.
Well, you know, there's quite a bit of natural farmers in Hawaii right now. It all started with Dr. Park meeting Master Cho of Korea, and I had the good fortune of going to Korea with Dr. Park to learn natural farming, and it really became agriculture self-sustainable or self-sustainability, because you're using scrap materials or throwaway materials to make fertilizers and animal feed. And it becomes a full cycle whereby nothing is thrown away and you get good products and high quality products. Where in Korea, Japan will come over and buy all of their crops. I was there when Japan company came over and bought out the whole crop for over $300,000.
We could be doing that here, couldn't we?
That's right.
We already know the Japanese love a lot of our products. I mean, not only could we be selling to them directly, Donald, I mean, it sounds like to me we wouldn't be poisoning the land, we wouldn't be wasting a lot of, you know, fuel, bringing things in that we don't need. Okay, I mean, this sounds like a tremendous win-win, and I mean, this might even be a situation where, like you know about the magnet shells, right, I guess, out there, there's probably many things you could find, and we all know that the premium product is the natural product. And on top of that, I mean, not only sustainability, but let's say survivability, because with what may be coming economically, and having this wondrous island and this wondrous past culture, we could, you know, rejuvenate ourselves to an even better level, the best of the land from the past and the best of the future with what you're trying to do here.
That is correct, but it's really self-sustainability. Nothing's thrown away, everything goes into a full cycle. Yes, I do some natural farming. I grow beans and eggplants, zucchinis, bell peppers, and bitter melon, and so forth. And not on a large scale, mainly for home use. And, you know, I'm self-sustainable in agriculture. I can eat my own produce. And
not just that, you're not harming the land or anything in the future.
Believe it or not, I produce so much I have to give it away.
Well, that's not a bad situation to be in. Why are you running, Donald? Why are you running here? I mean, do you need this job? I mean, what's your situation?
No, you know, I just want to serve the people. It's something that I guess I learned at a young age, where you know, a service to the people is one of the best things you can do in your life. It feels really good to help people. I like helping people, and my reward is seeing people happy. I feel real good when I see people feel good about things where they think that they have so much trouble about, where it could be easily solved just by people working together. A lot of times it's just misunderstanding between the people and the administration or the directors or the permitting people, but I believe that, you know, by helping them work together, we can solve problems.
Well, I know that you've solved problems. I've heard from people that, for example, there was one, I think it was up in Hamakua, I know on the north side of Hilo, a tree fell on, a state tree or something?
It was in town. It was on Hiley Street, and it was on state land. The tree fell over the fence and hit the fellow's roof, or was I caused some damage to the house. And so they called the state to help remove the tree, but nothing was done. Fortunately, I knew the people from DEGS, so I called DEGS up, and you know, it's state, it's not county, and I had asked them if they would help us remove the tree, and they were very nice, and they removed the tree, so we solved the problem. Very simple.
So a little additional effort, and you got something
That's right.
done there.
And you know, it's what I'm really happy was different governmental agencies working together to solve problems, and it can be done.
And what I'm also happy, and I can tell from absolute experience, is that you will listen.
That's correct.
Because I know when I've come to the council sometimes, and that's one of the other things I can say I really respect about you, Donald. I know sometimes you've told me things I don't want to hear. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I mean, when people tell you things you don't want to hear, you have to believe they're honest. Okay, mm-hmm. At least that's been my experience. So I respect you for that. Not that most of the time I like what you're saying, but you know, but sometimes you know you can't. Not everybody's always in perfect sync. So
that's right. In fact, you know, one of the strangest thing, and you know, a lot of people, you know, they listen to Mr. Reese, Tim Reese. Yeah. And you know, he goes on. A lot of times he rant, but you know, I listened to him, mm-hmm. and he made me change my mind 4 times. Mm-hmm. and you know,
on different issues or one?
Different issues. Okay. On the, he gave me a perspective that I never thought of, because I do read everything we get, mm-hmm. and I have my staff do research. Mm-hmm. So when I go to vote, I really know how I'm going to vote.
Thank you.
But I do listen. And Mr. Reese did make me change my mind.
He's very detail-oriented.
That's
anybody
right.
out there, you'll know he's pretty good at coming up with some stuff that a lot of us miss.
No, but I really like it because then it opens your eyes to see different things that you overlook.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's, I think, speaking for me personally, but I believe for probably a large segment of our viewers, feeling like the government is listening, paying attention, and, you know, being responsive to our questions, needs, and requests, that's pretty powerful, and we really appreciate that. Why do you believe you can do a better job than your opponent? I know you have tremendous financial experience, including being an auditor. For you have years of experience as a clerk. Mm-hmm. You have years of experience as a council member. You've gone out and met tremendous amounts of people in your district. You know, you're obviously doing things above and beyond. You're going to additional countries. You're meeting with dignitaries. You're meeting, you know, making sister city relationships. You're backing, you know, clubs and community associations. I mean, that's plenty right there, but what else besides that do you feel where you may have additional experience or the people could benefit from your knowledge and gifts?
You know, I'll tell you, I believe that I have financial as well as business experience that my opponent doesn't have. I believe that I can look at the budget more clearly. I can analyze it better. I can look for the strength and weaknesses. And there's...
when you say the strength and weakness, what do you mean by that?
Well, one of strength and weaknesses is, you know, you want to see, I believe one of the weaknesses we have is that we are not creating enough revenue. In other words, we're using the same things all the time for revenue. We either raise taxes or we're going to raise users' fees or something like that. I believe we have to step outside the box. I believe that we have to go out and try to give tax incentives to encourage business to come into the community where they want to start business. And these will create jobs, hopefully better paying jobs, where if, you know, we're not collecting anything right now anyway, so what's wrong with giving tax incentives for people to come in, then they'll create high paying jobs and we'll collect tax from the people that come in, they'll spend money in the community, and they're going to
They'll
buy.
build houses.
They're
They'll buy
gonna- that's
services
right.
from the carpenters. You know, they'll be buying food. They'll be
That's
their
correct.
houses will be paying tax. So what you're saying is, I think, in a nutshell here, is you're trying to, let's say, lure business in a sense into the community, okay, by giving them a break, enough of a break that that they would be induced to come here, and then from all the downstream benefits of that, employing people, the payroll taxes, the house taxes that they may have, the purchasing of the food, bringing things through the port for our longshoremen, okay, and our longshore people, I should say, whatever is correct now. So I guess that's what you're basically saying now.
That's correct. I believe that the benefits will outweigh the negative, and like I said, Silicon Valley was a good example, and we can learn from that.
And you were there, you've seen it, so you know what can be done.
That's correct.
And you have the experience and the vision of it. And I think models are very important from what I've seen in my life. So I mean, I think these sister cities and stuff like that, if we'll actually work with it and use it, there's a lot to learn. Because I mean, let's face it, we're in an era now where collective knowledge is just exponentially growing. So I mean, we have to basically join to keep up, essentially, at this point.
Let me get back, to the sister city. I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of benefits because we're going to have exchange of knowledge. We're going to have exchange of economy. Also, believe it or not, I hope that somehow the United States as well as Hawaii could create some kind of doctor exchange. They have a large number of doctors in Korea.
Wow.
And it would be nice to get some of them. In fact, they have an overabundance of doctors in Korea.
That's one of the things I found in my life. A lot of times just going and doing something and keeping your eyes open, you come across really unintended benefits.
That's correct.
And if that's one there, that's a gigantic problem I've heard in many of the forums. The candidates, for example, State Senate District 2, I've heard that there was an issue if you watch that on Tuesday of this week, and there may be a solution right there, and you've already have the relationship set up to help make that flow. That's a very good work there. And Donald, who's supporting you? What people, what groups, and why? Can you give us a little bit of reason why?
Most of my supporters are the local everyday guy.
The working people.
That's right. And I believe a lot of them have trusted me. A lot of community association have had encouraged me to run. But I do have a lot of supports from the union, especially HGA, the police, SHOPO, and firefighters. I'm very happy that I did get some support from the Carpenters Union because they felt that I will encourage business to come into the community to be able to create more jobs. And believe it or not, although ILW did not endorse me, ILW Unit 5, which is the hotel unit which has no hotel union here, endorsed me because they felt that I would do a good job for them.
Yeah, I mean, if we're all doing better, I mean, how can't you? I mean, there's no point to squabble over differences if we're all doing better. A rising tide lifts all boats.
That's right.
And I'm just curious, going back to that and segueing into something else is one of my personal strong issues. I really, as you know, from hearing it probably 80 times or more, at the council about the building code. And I know Bob Herkes is doing very good work trying to bring us back into reality instead of having us tied to an Agenda 21 international code that is really very little, if any, relevant to our situation here. So I'd like to know, Donald, Bob has already got this rolling, and I think there's others who are starting to get the idea. And back to the Carpenters Union, we know if we would get this simplified, the building code, and made back to our needs on this island, okay, that we could probably build a lot more houses, put more people to work, and cost less, okay, for the end user. Are you willing and able to, this is kind of a home rule issue, but are you willing and wanting, and would you go after, changing this building code and working to get us, on a code that's, good and appropriate for our county here?
Yeah, most definitely, because if you go back to when the building code first came out, there were 3 members that voted against the building code. There was Jay Yoshimoto, Dennis Fresh Onishi, and myself. And I remember you guys coming over to protest, and you know that's one of the times Mr. Reese changed my mind also, and you guys were right. And so I'm glad that you guys were able to persuade Angel P. Lago to reconsider the bill.
That was a really difficult issue with a lot of pressure, you know, but I found that you were listening, and we did get a lot of positive changes, and I think we have a long, hard system to fight here. So back, just one more thing to follow up on that. To me, it's somewhat of a home rule issue.
Yes.
It's not just a building code, but it's a building code for our island. I mean, why do we need to have 6-inch thick insulation, you know, 2x6s, safe rooms, and we have 1% the likely, basically a tougher code than Southern Florida, and we have 1% the likelihood of their hurricanes. So, I mean, if you got in the Senate, or I should say, assuming you do get in the Senate, I mean, I gather you would be willing to work with Bob for our unique code for this island. I mean, or would you be willing to fight the state in this sense? Okay, you know where they've come up with a unified code. It's arguable. Okay, but would you be willing to work on something for our
most definitely, yeah, because I think right now our current building code is quite different from the rest of the state, but I see there's a lot of room for improvements.
Thank
and I definitely feel that we can make it better.
Thank you. And I think we'll all be benefiting, and it's nothing against anybody, but a lot of times things move so fast, and especially in a down economy, you know, you could get away with some of these things maybe prior when you have a lot of excess capital, but when you're running short, you have to be a little more careful, yeah? Donald, my experience with you has been that you've been a very good representative and that you've worked long, hard hours at the council. You know, what can you tell us about your attendance and your ability to attend and work should you be elected on to the state senate?
Well, I'll tell you, and it's very sad that this article came out, because if you check my records for the past 7 years, my attendance record was about 94%. In this past year, I think they attributed some of my absence to my trips that I've been to Korea, where I was forming a sister city, also to Okinawa when I went to make the visitation required by our code that we need to visit every 2 years. And all of these were made with my own expense, with my own money, no cost to the county. Also, I'm the last sitting member that approved Palamanui development, and so Dr. Freitas had asked me if I would attend their check signing ceremony for $8.6 million. And this is what happened is that was Palamanui's fair share, which our county had requested. We didn't ask for anything else. All we asked was for a community college for West Hawaii. And it was an arduous fight because the down economy, but Palamanui made good, and they cut a check for $8.6 million, and I was there. And what was really sad is because I didn't tell the chairman, I guess, where I was going to go, I couldn't vote because it was at the West Hawaii Civic Center, and I did visit Angel P. Lago there, but I told him I couldn't vote because I didn't let him know. A lot of the meetings this past year was because I missed some meetings because I have a lot of dignitaries that came in from the Orient, from Japan, from Nago City, from Ikaho, and also from Korea, who came in 3 times because they weren't sure about the sister city relation. And I had to take time off to entertain me, and I had to show them around, and I wanted to keep them interested. And I don't think people realize that Ikaho City is one of our major sponsors for the Marimana. They sponsor the trips for the Win in Halal, the plane fare and room and board.
I had no idea. I have no idea that was the case.
Spending money for the winners of the halal for Marimana.
There's a lot of nuts and bolts stuff that's below the surface that people aren't aware of that you have to deal with, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
So these are things that we're doing that people don't even know about. Plus, we have a good relationship with a lot of the sister cities that we exchange students. We have student exchange, Ikaho City as well as Iwaji Island, and now we just started with Nago City in Okinawa. In fact, the students are here right now.
Was that something that when you were on the way back that you were working with?
Yes.
So a tangible result from
that. Right.
And that's got to be big for our university, because I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of foreign students going
That's right.
there.
Yes. In fact,
so that's very, very important, and that's one of the things, not just at our city level, but even though we're benefiting it, but from the state too, because it's got to be expensive to operate that. And let's face it, those are the premium-paying,
That's right.
students.
That's right.
Yeah. So good job on that. Donald, I've learned that your opponent has a huge financial advantage in contributions compared to you, like almost 100,000 or more, or certainly somewhere near there. Personally, I have to wonder when I hear something like that, where's the money coming from and why? And, I just like to know, how are you bringing your message to the people to serve them in light of this? I mean, that's a tremendous disadvantage you're being put at, and what are you doing to counter that?
It's real funny because I didn't have the kind of money. Most of the money I borrowed myself. I borrowed $20,000 to run my campaign. But I'm a real grassroots person. I believe in sign waving, so you'll see me sign waving almost every morning at Mahuli and Komohana. But I've walked almost every home in my district, in the Senate district. I believe I have about maybe just a little section of Waikiuka left, but I've walked the rest, meeting the people and shaking their hands, asking for support, listening to their problems. And there's quite a few problems that I've learned as I'm walking around. I've taken notes, so I have it in my pamphlet. And as soon as the election is over, I will try and go out and try to fix all their problems.
That's got to be quite a list.
Quite a list.
And I imagine a few pairs of shoes.
Yes.
Well, so, that goes back to something that I personally, certainly with you, but there are some very good people in government who are really working to help us. There are. And they're, maybe more than we think, maybe not, but maybe. And, I believe you would go and try to do what you're saying you're going to do. And
Yes.
I know that you know that there's plenty of problems. And, we certainly need someone at the state level who will help us for home rule. So that's nothing against, anybody else. I cannot officially endorse anybody, but I can say that I've seen this man listen, and I know that as a county and people here, we really need help in Honolulu trying to get them, for many issues, hunting, fishing, gathering, aquatics. And again, nothing against the state either, okay? But, when you're in Honolulu, you're not here, okay? And you don't have our needs and know what we're doing here. So, Donald, is there anything else that we've missed, anything else that people should know about you, or, the campaign in general?
Yes, I think I'm very fortunate that I'm running in this county, that at least the people is willing to give me a chance. They listen to me and they're very open. It's going to be a good race, and I hope the people would really consider me, because I promise to work real hard for them.
And from my experience, I believe that to be true, because I've seen it and witnessed it. And not just working hard, I have to thank you for listening and truly, being a citizen representative instead of a professional politician. And that's very, very important, I think, to myself and a large part of our viewers, to have someone who's representing the people, for the people.
I can tell you I'm not a professional politician, I'm not polished or anything like that. I mean, you can kind of tell when you look at the endorsements and so forth, and who's my opponents, you don't see any big liners on my card.
Yeah.
It's all everyday people. It's your uncles, your aunties, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your neighbors.
Thank you.
And that's who it is.
And that's hopefully the way it should be for the people, citizen representative. And I know, Donald, that you didn't spend 50 years in politics. You made your money in private industry.
That's right.
Okay, and now you don't have to do this. You're here to serve us. Yeah. So I'd just like to thank you again. Thank you for coming on the show very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. We wish you the best. God bless. Aloha.
Okay.
Thank you, and stay tuned.
Thank
Aloha.
you.